Bup, bup, bup. Bup. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a live episode of the PSYCH Show. This is Dr. Ali Mattu. I am so happy to be here today. A few weeks ago, I asked you all what are some of the biggest struggles you are dealing with right now in this wacky world that we live in, and motivation kept coming up in all of your feedback. So what we are doing here today, we are going to do a 1 hour long live stream. We're going to work through this from lots of different angles, and hopefully one of these ways is going to help you. We're going to learn from each other. This is something that I am struggling with myself. It's something that I hope we're going to have some fun working through as well. And if you are watching the replay of this video, have no worry. The live chat, it's right here. You can still learn from each other. You can still grow together. And the way I've designed this is you can watch this as many times as you need to get as much out of it as you possibly can. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. I've got a question to get this all started right now, which is, what is one thing you wish you could change right now? Another way to think about it is, what is one thing you wish you had motivation to do, to get better at, to make improvements on, to do on a daily basis or a more regular basis? Let me know in the live chat. I'm going to be using your examples. We're going to be following up on this kind of stuff. So let me know what you're working on. Miles, so glad to hear that the mic is working, sound works. Yeah, the first time I did this live stream here, not too much success with the live audio right there. Yeah, I was right before we were getting started. I was frantically trying to eat a piece of cake. I was running from another meeting to get on here, and this was my lunch for today. For right now. Andrea, It's my honor to be here. Pleasure to be doing this. So let's get started on this. Carolyn is saying my motivation to have a consistent work schedule and motivation to study for a course is pretty low. Keep the feedback coming. What you're struggling with, the motivation that is difficult for you. So let me know right over there. So I'm gonna get started by sharing what I have been struggling with here a little bit. One of the biggest struggles for me is it sounds so basic and it sounds like it shouldn't be a big deal, but it honestly has been keeping our home clean, keeping it organized. Now, if you watch my videos, you know one of my biggest struggles here in coronavirus sheltering in place, this wacky world, has been having a toddler, having this almost 3-year-old amazing girl who has a ton of energy and who during the day will just kind of tear the home up. She loves to play. She loves to throw things. She loves to jump up and down. She likes to bring all of her toys, put them all around. And by the end of the day, our home looks like it's been ransacked or something. And the other thing is we're putting a lot more load onto our home. So our kitchen is being used all the time. We're all home around each other a lot. So we're just producing more mess. Every time my daughter eats a meal, there's like food everywhere. And by the end of the day, when she's settled down, I have no motivation to clean things up. And it's actually a real, you might say like, well, what's a big deal? Just let it be. It's become more and more of a problem because the longer I wait to clean things, the harder it becomes, the bigger stressor it is, the more difficult the job is. I'm stepping on toys. Like the other day, I stepped on this big Lego piece. If you have ever done that, you will have a lot of understanding of how painful that can be. And some things have become even bigger problem. Like we haven't cleaned our bathroom sinks. And the other day, I was looking at it. I'm like, is that mold that's growing? And I had to turn to YouTube to figure out if it is or not. Spoiler alert, it is. So that's my thing I have to clean. So we all have these types of struggles that they might be small things or they might be big challenges and motivation. So I want to hear from you. So we're getting a lot of feedbacks coming in over here. I wish I was more motivated to get stuff done for university. Yes, school is a big one. I'm hearing struggling with schoolwork. For me, it's having a motivation to practice music, working out, getting my basic needs met. Absolutely, that is huge. I have lots of actual work to do that people are asking of me, and even more projects I want to do that are personally important to me. But all I do and feel like doing is lie around. So I'm hearing a lot about the expectations that are put upon you and your energy to do those just not really being there. Organizing my bedroom, I definitely feel that that's kind of tied into the one I'm struggling with. Basic needs, literally zero motivation. I have no motivation to even talk to my therapist. Yeah, so getting through the basic things that we have to do today, motivation is pretty low to do those things. Even to get help is hard. I don't know if I have the motivation to do stuff, but rather that I have very little energy to do stuff, what to do. Hopefully, this is going to help you with that as well. All right. I've been struggling to be motivated to go to work. I'm in retail and it has been extremely draining. I really like my job, but it's so hard right now. Yeah. So a lot of us are struggling in similar ways. Some of us are struggling in unique ways. Let's kind of dive into the first skill I want to share with you. And that is to get perspective. When we are in these kind of situations, we can really be struggling with why we might be struggling with in these situations. Like, why is this difficult for us? And oftentimes we can start to blame ourselves. We can start to think that there's something wrong with us, that other people seem to have it together. What's wrong with me? So the most important thing, and if you were here with me, what I would want to talk to you about and what I want to do myself is to get perspective. If someone you are very close to came up to you and said, I am struggling with getting my schoolwork done. I am struggling with organizing my room, cleaning my home. I am struggling with doing all the work that people are asking of me and doing the stuff I want to do. What would you tell them? What would you tell this person that you love, that you care about, that you know so much about? I know if my wife, let's say, was telling me exactly what I told you, that I'm struggling to find the motivation to pick up after ourselves, to clean up. I just kind of, at the end of the day, my energy is done. I don't want to do any of these things at all. I just want to like watch Netflix. What would I tell her? I would say that we are living in an extraordinary situation. We are living, most of us, we might be stuck at home. And we don't have, our energy is low because we're doing less. We're not getting natural sunlight. We're not seeing people that in a way that we used to. We don't have our regular routines to keep us kind of regulated and grounded and focused. We're not seeing people in a way that would help us. We usually, whether they're teachers or coworkers or friends at school, when we see other people, they're able to check in with us. They're able to say, hey, Ali, you seem like you might be struggling a bit. Like, everything okay? We're not able to get that support that we usually do. And given all these kind of circumstances, low energy, lower mood, low motivation, it only makes sense that you would be experiencing this. So why, when it's so easy for us to share this with other people and to have this clarity, why is it so hard for us to have that compassion for ourselves? That's the first thing we need to do, is really understand that all of us, if we've gone through these kind of events, if we are living in this extraordinary situation, if the news every day is full of more uncertainty, gosh, is it hard to have some hope for a better future and to have energy to move on. It only makes sense that we would be struggling with low motivation. I was just reading a report the other day about anxiety and depression rates going up since the outbreak of coronavirus. We are all struggling with this. You know, I spent decades developing a behavioral system of getting stuff done. I started this in college, and I've kept it up since. Of my whole motivation system is based on being outside of my home and doing things in coffee shops, in libraries, getting accountability from other people that keeps me motivated, all this kind of stuff that I just don't have anymore. So it's like almost like overnight, the variables have completely changed. I mentioned this in my last video, but it's like we were all playing level 1 or 2 of Mario Brothers, and now we're at like the boss level. Like, the context has completely changed. So I want you to think about this. What would you tell someone else that you love who's going through this kind of situation? Let me see the comments over here. Okay. Okay. Sorry if there was a little bit buffering. Hopefully people weren't experiencing that. Is motivation related to chronic procrastination? We'll discuss that in the back end. Procrastination is my worst enemy. Yeah, I feel you over there. I'm struggling with PTSD and the possibility that I might be on the autism spectrum. I don't want to worry about COVID. I had it. It's over. My mental health keeps getting worse. And yeah, so we're all at different stages of dealing with this crisis. Where we're living makes a big difference on how we are experiencing this as well. But regardless of where you are, the world and our culture or way of life has changed, and it only makes sense that motivation might be completely up in the air as this happens. So I want to move on to once we have this perspective that it only makes sense, what that does is it helps us to do two things: acceptance and change. You can't make any kind of change in your life if you don't also come to terms with how you are in the situation. That's what I'm hoping that first skill of getting some perspective of what would you tell to someone else you love. I hope that helps you to get a little bit more of an acceptance of why you might be in this situation, that it only makes sense. And this is where I want you to dig down deep inside and really get compassion for yourself, that this isn't you. You did not ask to be in this situation at all. It is your responsibility to learn how to work through and how to navigate this, but it's not your fault you're in this situation. Get some acceptance with why we might be struggling with this. And once we have that, we can then move on and forward to change. So let's talk about that now. If you are in this chat, you're probably dealing with some form of ambivalence. What does that word mean? I think it gets thrown a lot. It's thrown around a lot, and I don't think people are really talking about it in the way that it truly means. What ambivalence really means, it's about struggling between two different paths or more paths, trying to decide, should I do this or should I do that? Oftentimes, when we have low motivation, we might not know what path to go down, or if it's worth the effort of pursuing this thing that we want to do. So we have to understand that. We have to really understand what are the paths in front of us and why might we be struggling with what to do. And so many of you have shared what you're struggling with here, whether it's school or home, what to do next, motivation to read and study, making a to-do list. There's a lot I should be doing with school, work, personal growth, but I just lay around. I know, so there's so much. There's so much that's being shared here. It sounds like people are struggling with motivation with everything in their life. So what I want you to do is just think about one area right now. Think about what would be, Carolyn, this is, all of this can be so overwhelming, especially if you're trying to navigate, am I on the spectrum? As Night Angel DK has mentioned over here. There's a lot here and it can be overwhelming. So I want you to think about just one thing specifically, one thing that you might want to change, one thing that you might want to work on with your motivation. That might be school. It might be work. It might be something around home. It might be something related to personal growth, maybe your health or fitness or your diet, all of those kind of things. So think about that one thing right now. And what I want you to now reflect on is what's good about this situation that you're in right now. What's good about the way you're dealing with your school? What's working for you about that? What's good about the way you are dealing with your professional work? What's good with the way you might be dealing with your home? And I'm going to reflect back to you right now about this because we're working through this together. For me, as I mentioned earlier, it's about all the mess, all the chaos, all the dirt, the grime, the food on the floor, all that stuff that kind of happens through the course of the day. And one of the ways I've largely been dealing with it is not dealing with it, not cleaning up after all the toys, not cleaning up after all the mess that's around. I do pick up food stuff below the table because I don't want to get ants. But I haven't been doing much to clean the kitchen and the bathrooms and all of that. So what's good about the way I'm dealing with that? Well, at night, by the time my daughter's asleep and I have an opportunity to start cleaning, I'm really tired. And so what's good for me about this is it helps me to feel better by not touching it. And I also have a lot of hopelessness because I know tomorrow it's going to get dirty again. It's going to get messy and disorganized and kind of chaotic all over again. So why clean things up? Why organize them when they're going to get dirty again? So you really need to understand, like, why is this happening? Like, why are you continuing in the pattern that you are? Why is it difficult for you to make a change? And for me, it's been working. And it also, not trying to clean up, not trying to organize, it helps me to do more of the fun stuff that I actually want to do. So we need to really honest that. That's not a thing people say. We need to really honor that. And then we need to, how do we deal with the guilt of not doing those things? We're going to get to that. Now we want to talk about what are some of the less good things about the way you're dealing with this right now. What's not so good about it? What's bothering you about it? And for me, what's bothering me is I know the less I do to sort of clean up around my home, the bigger challenge it's going to be in the future. This happens to me with my laundry. When I put off doing laundry, there's so much to do. And then every aspect of it becomes so much more stressful. There's way more loads to do. It feels like it takes like all day. There's so much folding to do and then so much to put away. And I can say that with every aspect of cleaning and organizing around my home. A kitchen is a big example. We're using the kitchen so much. If I avoid cleaning it, then all the stuff that builds up on the oven and in the sink, it becomes even harder to clean, and it takes so much more work and it's more draining, and I want to avoid it even more. So that's what I don't like. I don't like that avoiding it actually makes it a way bigger problem than it probably needs to be. If any of you have struggled with procrastination, as you've been mentioning in the comments here, you probably can relate to that. The more you put it off, the bigger problem these things become. This is just such basic human nature that we have brains that are thousands of years old, and they're really wired for immediate gratification. But we're living in a very modern world that is, like 100 years old, maybe 150 years old, our modern society. If you look at COVID and coronavirus, we're talking months old, this kind of situation we're in. So our thousands of years old brain, not a very, very good match for this kind of modern world we're in. We're wired for immediate benefits, and there's no immediate benefit to me for cleaning. It's a big, arduous, difficult task. And for those of you struggling with finding motivation for school and work, there's no immediate payoff. So we need to understand some of the ambivalence over there. I'm kind of, Elizabeth says, I'm kind of like an ostrich putting its head in the sand, not seeing anything. Me too. That's exactly how I feel with this kind of stuff. And the more I'm cluing into, why is this working for me? Well, I'm not doing these things because it does help me to have some fun at night. And boy, do I really need that fun, because these are long days. And then what do I like less about it? I don't really like how it's making bigger problems. Once you understand that dilemma and the ambivalence, then you can start to move on a little bit more. And so I want you all to think about this question now. I'm trying to look at the comments and also go on my list. Manya says, yes, thank you. I've been waiting for this. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the psyche of our community. So thinking about the ambivalence that you might be struggling with, like, do I make a change? Do I not? What do I like about it? What do I like less about it? Now, ask yourself this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not ready for a change at all, and 10 is I'm ready to make that change right now. I want to make that change. Where are you on the scale? 1, no desire to make change. 10, absolutely, I want to make a change about this thing. Let me know in the live chat. Put your number down. Where are you in regards to your readiness to make a change on this thing right now? And I'm not asking you this to sort of like, let's get amped, let's get fired up, we're all gonna like make a difference, we're all like, I'm not that guy. There's plenty of those guys on YouTube. If you want to go find that person, they're there. But the reason I ask you for this is a very important reason. Is we need to understand: is this the right time for you to make a change, or is it not so much the right time? What are we seeing here? I'm seeing 7, 7, 3, 6. I'm a solid 9. Wow. 6, 10, 7, 6, 5, 6, 3, 9, 4 to 6, depending on the day. I love that answer. 8, 9. I'm on a 7 on tidying up my room. 1. So just look at the comment section here. Like, we are in very different places on this, and that's okay. It's really important to understand, is this the right time for me to make a change? Now, I also want you to think about this. Where were you on this a month ago? What was your number a month ago? And let me know in the comments. Was it the same? Was it higher? Or was it lower? The reason I'm asking you about this is it's really important to understand what's been happening for you in these last few weeks. So a month ago, were you higher? Okay, so if your number has gone down, what's changed here? Maybe you're dealing with more stressors. Maybe you're dealing with more struggles. Or maybe you tried something and it didn't go well, and now you feel even less motivated. Or maybe your motivation is higher now. Maybe something else has happened. Like, maybe you're like me and you just discovered that because you have been cleaning up, some mold has been growing. And now you have to take care of that ASAP, or it's going to become a much bigger problem. So my motivation, where my motivation is now, again, we're working through this together. I'm very honest with you about all this stuff. Is 5. I'm very torn about making changes related to how I'm cleaning and organizing. Where was it a month ago? Probably like a 2, maybe a 1. Like, I had no desire to do anything about that because things were just working fine. Why has my motivation gone up to a 5? Well, because I'm now concerned, because I haven't been taking action. I'm now starting to see problems here. So in the comments, folks are saying a month ago, probably lower. Month ago, definitely higher. 3 much lower than now. So you get a sense. So this is wonderful. This feedback is so wonderful from all of you. Is you're seeing that motivation can go up and down, and that's normal and that's healthy. And we all are in. We all struggle with this in some way. It's okay. Motivation is not always going to be completely up or down. And so think about this. Now that you know where your motivation is right now, and where it was about a month ago, is this the right time for you to make a change? Is this a right time? Or do you have a lot going on right now? If your motivation is low, what could we do to boost your number up 1, 2, maybe 3 slots? What would change for you? So the feedback I'm getting from all of you is, yeah, it's cyclic. The numbers can go up and down. I feel like I may be six, but I don't feel it. It varies. Yeah, absolutely. So my motivation here varies, and that's okay. That's normal. That's healthy. We have to understand that ambivalence and understand why our motivation has been changing to do anything about this. So really think about, is this the right time for you? Are you ready to make a change? And let me know in the comments there, like, yes, this is the right time, or no, it's not, or maybe I don't know if it's the right time or not. I got plenty more stuff coming that will maybe help to answer that question. What if you need to make a change, but you don't necessarily want to? Yeah, well, I mean, that's me. I definitely feel that way. I don't want to make a change. I don't want to do more what I think is stupid, worthless work that's just going to be undone the next day. I feel that as way as well. And also, my motivation has gone up to do something about this because now I'm becoming more concerned about what are the consequences if I don't take action on this. All right, folks. So now that you have a better sense of if this is the right time for you or not, um, you have a sense of like some acceptance of why we might be in this situation. You have a better sense of why you might be struggling with the ambivalence in your motivation, why it's gone up or down. Now we need to really tap into values. We really need to tap into who you are and what's important to you. So, modifying an exercise I usually do with people to clarify what's important to them and to clarify their values. So, this is going to sound a little hokey. That's okay. Bear with me. If you don't like this part, wait about 5 minutes and it'll be over and we'll have more stuff. Um, I want you to imagine we're 10 years in the future. Imagine that the coronavirus is very much a thing of the past, that humanity has moved forward. We've developed a vaccine for it. The population is vaccinated. Reports of coronavirus infections are way low. And while some aspects of culture have changed, let's say people wear face masks on a regular basis when they're sick, we're also going back to movie theaters. We're also going back to live performances where we're hugging each other, where we're not sheltering in place. And let's imagine that it's your birthday and the people you love, the people you care about, they're all there with you. And you start to share stories about 2020 and this very weird year we lived in, when we were sheltering in place, when we were isolated, when we felt like crap, when we were struggling. Now, what stories do you want these people that love you to share about you? What are they saying that they remember about how you spent your time during this period of isolation? How did you make them feel? Did you make them feel connected and supported, like you were a good friend or a good family member? Are they sharing stories about, gosh, it was so difficult. I can't even imagine what it must have been like for you to be at school during 2020. That was such a crazy year. How did you get through that? Wow, that was the year you took on that new job, or you're trying to do all those other things. Yeah. How did you cope with that? How did you deal with that? Or, whoa, your daughter was 3 years old. That's wild. How did you get, like, I remember how much you struggled with that. And they might be sharing stories about that. Like, what stories are people sharing about you? And also, what stories do you want to be able to tell about this experience? I know this sounds really weird. I know this sounds really hokey, and surreal dynamics. And Munya, I really miss hugging people too. But let's. I want you all to share, what are the things that you want to be known for during this time? What are those stories that we want people to share? And for me, as I do this, what becomes very clear to me is I want my friends and family to know that I was there for them. I was as good of a friend as can be over Zoom and FaceTime and all that sort of stuff. That I was a good dad, that I took care of my daughter, and I tried to give her experiences that were fun and interesting, that I made sure our family was safe. And that means taking care of me and my health and my family's health. And that I got through it. I don't want them to share stories that, like, I was the best employee ever, or that I was so on top of all my emails. Like Ali Mattu, his email game was just like, he was on his email. I never had to wait long to hear back from him. I don't care about that. That's not important to me right now. What's important to me right now is I'm a good dad. I'm a good husband. I'm a good friend. And I'm like okay enough at the work I have to do. Like my career, that was, it was so much more important to me a few months ago than it is right now. And you might be in a different place. Like your values might be different. If you're not a parent, I hope being a good parent is not a value for you. But like, what are these things that you care about? For me, creativity and my career were much more important to me before coronavirus, and they've just kind of like faded into the background. Like what's important to me has changed. So right now, what's important to you? What do you all really care about? And if you're struggling with this activity, I know it's a bit heady. I'm sharing an alternative way of getting this. And there's a value card sort that you can do where you can look at all of these different list of values and then sort them into different piles. Really important to me, kind of important, not important at all. And you can keep sorting them until you get down to a list of just 5 things that are very important to you. And so why are we doing this? Well, when we're struggling with low motivation and we have ambivalence and we don't know what to do, the biggest way to cut through all of that is to map it on to what is important to you, what your values are right now. And our values have probably changed since coronavirus started, and our values will probably change as the next few months roll out and restrictions are limited. Like safety and health have skyrocketed in importance for me. And honestly, I was lucky. I didn't really have to worry too much about my health a few months ago. But now it's so important to me. And I'm living close to relatives who are older and immune compromised. So thinking about their health is important to me when I never really thought about their health before. So we have to clarify our values. And getting back to motivation here, this thing that you want to change, does it map onto your values? Is there a connection there between what you want to change, whether it's your schoolwork, your work, your home, your relationships, your friendships, the stuff you're procrastinating on? Is it tied to your values? If it's not, maybe don't worry about it. Maybe it's not the thing to address. Maybe that's why your motivation to address it is so low. However, if it is tied to your values, or if we can make it more connected to your values, that might boost up your motivation a little bit. It might take that number and give it a few extra digits. There's this great book called Switch. It's by a brother who's a writer and a brother who's a psychologist, Dan Heath and Chip Heath. And in Switch, they talk about this model of an elephant and rider. And the elephant represents your emotions. And the rider on top of the elephant represents your more analytical, logical part of your brain. And so a lot of times we think, well, if I just think hard enough, I'll get motivated to make change. That's kind of like being a rider on top of an elephant who doesn't want to go anywhere. If the elephant doesn't want to move, nothing's going to happen. You can say whatever you want to the elephant, but if the elephant is not motivated to move, no change happens. So what we have to do is we have to motivate that elephant to move. The elephant are your emotions. The elephant is your emotions. And we do that by connecting them to your values. So what's important to me right now is family, is health, is getting through on a very basic level, not being the best employee, but definitely being the best husband and dad that I can be, and the best family member to my extended family. So is cleaning up tied to my values here? I think it is. And when I really think about this, I know that my daughter has so much more fun when I've put away her toys, because then she loves to find them and pull them out. And it also makes me a better husband too, because that occupies my daughter more. So I'm less cranky because she's less demanding of my attention. So I'm a way better partner to my wife when that's happening. And also, safety and health is so important. I need to take care of this mold. I need to clean up some of this stuff. I don't want ants coming here. I don't want a mold problem. I don't want um, I I don't want to do something that might leave stuff around that we might fall over, like that Lego I stepped on that like hurt my foot for like hours after that. I don't want a situation where we're causing injury. So these kind of things, they actually are attached to my values, and I didn't really think about it until I had to think about it. I'm hoping some of you are getting that as well. Manya is saying empathy, kindness, family, and transformation are values for you right now. Samarth says this is actually profound and simple. Connection between values and motivation is so important. Absolutely. It's, right now it's kind of like going to a restaurant where you have just like so many things on the menu. There's like hundreds of things. I used to live in New York, and our diners in New York have like every single thing you could ever want to eat. It's all on the menu. But like I sit down and I look at that and I'm like, do I want a sandwich? Do I want a chicken pot pie? Do I want a soup? Do I want a steak? I have no idea what I want because it's so overwhelming to think of all the possible things we could be doing. And if you are someone who is thinking, gosh, I'm home alone, I have all this time, I'm either working from home or I'm unemployed right now, I need to be doing so much to be productive during the time. No, being productive right now means staying alive. It means taking care of yourself. It means taking care of other people that you love and care about. It means doing the bare minimum to get through, because it's so hard to get through these days. So that's just a little aside there. But when we have this like unlimited options of what to do, ambivalence, not knowing what path to go down, it's so common. So we have to think about our values. We have to limit those choices down and to see these things that I'm considering, do they map onto my values? Because if they do, the elephant will move. If they do, your emotions will activate. I so want to be a good dad. That is such a core value for me. And when I think about that, like, oh my gosh, my daughter really loves pulling toys out and playing with them. And it also buys me more time. Like, that completely changes things. Now the elephant starts moving. Now I can create some momentum. Now my motivation can go up a bit. All right. Awesome feedback. I am Andrew. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining the chat. Thank you, Hunter, for being here as well. Andrea, thanks for being here as well. A lot of friends, close friends of the Psych Show are here. Thanks for being here, folks. So now it gets to. So again, we've got acceptance around what we've been going through. We also understand that motivation goes up and down. We have a better idea of, is this the right time for me to make a change? And now you've got a better sense of what your values are. And so hopefully we can get the emotions firing. Now, what do you actually do? Now I'm going to say something that you might not like. and that is, I think motivation is super overrated. I know that's a super weird thing to say on a live stream that's all about motivation, but I think motivation is super overrated. And here's why. Because motivation often goes up after you start doing something. It usually feels good once you've made some kind of small accomplishment, and that will motivate you to do more. So, anyone who's ever struggled with writing an essay, the hardest thing is having that blank page in front of you. You have like no motivation to start. It's super anxiety provoking. But once you've like gotten to a point of you've written a page or two, it's easier to, it's so hard, so much harder to write page one than it is page two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. So, so what do we do then if motivation naturally comes once you start making change, and it's so hard to start making that change? Well, Courtney, good to see you here. Another friend of the show is here. So, what do we do when it's so hard to create motivation? This gets back to that elephant rider metaphor I talked about earlier. So the elephant are your emotions. You need emotions, otherwise no change is going to happen. What's so good about the writer, though, is the writer has intellect. The writer can look forward and see the path. Now the elephant's just going to like charge wherever it sees an open path. But what the writer can do is it can shape the path to make that kind of change easier. So what that means for you and I, the quickest, fastest way to get more motivated and to start moving forward on your goals is to change your environment. I'm a huge fan of making it easier to make the change you want to see happen. What does that mean? There's a wonderful book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And what James does is he boils down everything we know about behavioral therapy into a super easy to use book. He explains it way better than I could. What I just shared in the comments is a link to a video interview. It's like a 45-minute video interview about everything he talks about in his book. So if you're interested in this, check that out. A lot of details right over there. So let's make it easy to get that motivation going, because once you start to see some progress, your motivation is going to go up. So the best time to do this, it's not late at night like me when your energy is low and you're tired and all you want to do is put on Netflix, and that's all I've been doing this whole week. That's not the time to change your environment. The time to change your environment is when you feel well rested, when you aren't overwhelmed, dealing with that guilt of, oh my gosh, another day's gone by, I haven't done this thing that I want to do. The time to change your environment is actually when you're feeling better, when you're feeling less guilty, when you're feeling less overwhelmed. And pick one thing that you want to change. And I want you to think about, what can you do in the place around you that would make that kind of change easier? Something James Clear says is, you don't rise to your goal, you fall to your system. So think about it like this: is your environment is going to kind of shape what you do. One thing that I think I should do here, again, the thing I want to get more motivated for is cleaning up my home. The thing that I think would make it easier is if I had like toy bins available that are just easy to see by the couch, and I just toss all of her stuff in there for like 2 minutes after she goes to bed. I just kind of toss it. I don't try to organize. I don't try to do anything, but I just toss that stuff in there. That's going to make it easier for me just by having those bins and telling myself it's just going to be 2 minutes. Another thing that I think will help me, if another thing I can do to change my environment, if I've got like wipes on the kitchen, like easily accessible. Right now I have them in a different closet. But if I have them on the kitchen countertop, and if I just wipe down every time I cook, so 3 times a day, if I just wipe down the kitchen surfaces after I cook, again, I'm talking about 1 minute, 2 minute task, that's going to feel good. And what you'll start to notice is if you make subtle changes in your environment, you'll start to see that progress. Your motivation is going to go up. Your momentum is going to go up. That's a thing we all need to figure out here is how do we do that? So if you're struggling with distractions and you need to do work for school, how can you limit those distractions? How can you maybe erase apps on your phone? Or easier than that is get rid of the notifications of the apps that you're struggling with. Another way to think about it is if you're trying to cut down on how much food you're eating. How can you make smaller plates more available than big plates? This is one of the things that we are wired to. Again, our brain is thousands of years old. We will eat whatever's in front of us. So if you have less in front of you on a smaller plate, number one, it's going to seem like you have more food. The same amount of food on a big plate will look smaller than it does on a big plate. So if you want to cut down on all the snacking you're doing, get smaller bowls, get smaller plates, make it easy by changing the environment. If you're overwhelmed by all the emails you're getting, unsubscribe to a ton of stuff. If you're distracted by what's going on in your phone, turn off a lot of those notifications, or better yet, take your phone and put it somewhere else so you're not even tempted. Like get it out of your phone pocket. Something I've had success with is I've been having a lot of back pain during this quarantine situation. And the reason for that is my body movements are very different than what they used to be like. So my wife and I got like a $20 foam roller, and it's just right next to our couch. So when we watch TV, we roll over it on our backs, not at the same time because that would be super weird, but we take turns, and just having it there, looking at it, makes it a lot easier for me to do it. And once I start doing it, after a couple of nights of that, I feel so much better, and that makes me want to do it even more. So motivation has gone up after I started doing this thing. So think about that right now. Think about what is it in your environment that you can do to help you. Munya is saying, "Do not disturb mode is my best friend." I absolutely agree with that, and Andrea is agreeing with that as well. This is absolutely true. So share in the comments, what can you change around you that can make it easier for you to reach your goal? I'm all about making it easy, making it boring. I'm all about the non-sexy things of motivation. Make it easy, make it boring, make it automatic, make it you don't have to make it fun. Like rolling on the foam roller is not fun, but make it very easy. The other thing I want you all to think about is, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, this comes from James Clear as well, is the 2-minute rule. Take the thing that you want to do, this thing you're struggling with motivation for, and turn it into a 2-minute task. What's something that you can do in 2 minutes or less? In 2 minutes, I can do a crappy job of wiping the surfaces in our kitchen. In 2 minutes, I can do a crappy job of wiping the surfaces in our bathroom. What's a 2-minute version of the thing you can do? In 2 minutes, I can throw all of my daughter's toys into a bin. I can totally do that. What's a 2-minute version of what you want to do? Share it in the comments so we can all learn from each other. The other thing you can think about is we are so wired for those immediate rewards. Again, our brain is thousands of years old. Can you combine something you don't want to do with something you really want to do? For me, I'm kind of bummed because I'm behind on a lot of podcasts I like listening to because I'm not driving, I'm not commuting, so I haven't been listening to them. So for me, the task of stuff like folding laundry it's just so much easier when I do that if I'm listening to a podcast I love, watching a YouTube video I love, or Try Guys. The Try Guys always make me feel better. So watching a YouTube video or watching Netflix with my wife and folding laundry with that. I'm not quite sure how to do that with my cleaning. It's probably going to be listening to a podcast and cleaning if I have to do something more intensely. But for something as simple as wiping surfaces, I can do that in 2 minutes. I don't need to listen to something. But if what you're struggling with is a bigger thing, can you combine it with something you love, something that feels good? Let us know in the comments over here. Okay, we're going to go longer than an hour because obviously Ali can't talk for just an hour because I'm a psychologist and we want to keep talking about stuff. So I'm going to go longer. So don't worry, folks. I'm still going to be here. But I want to take a look at what people have been sharing in the comments before we get to the next skill. So Forrest. Andrea is mentioning the Forest app. A lot of talk here about notifications. Ansem is talking about placing my laptop on a table stand so it's easier for me to reach and do work. Yeah, I would move my camera and show you, but I have a super cheapo standing desk that I got, and that's really been helping me a lot to make it easier to get some work done. A lot of people are talking about constructing a little bit of a workspace. This is an idea I got from Stephen King, where he writes. There's like nothing on the walls. There's nothing to kind of distract him. And so if you're someone who deals with distraction, can you make a little space around you that is free of those distractions? And then can you make it easier to be there? So can you tell yourself, I'm not going to spend 3 hours in my workspace. I'm just going to spend 10 minutes. I'm just going to spend 15 minutes. Set a timer or tell someone if you're sheltering in place with someone, and just make it really easy and a small ask of yourself to be in that space. Courtney is saying, keeping a list of friends I want to reach out to and just pick one a day. Courtney, you read my mind. That is exactly what I'm going to be talking about next. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Weiner. Andrew is saying, I listen to NADDPOD, the NAD pod to go to sleep. Not familiar with that one, but if you're interested in sleep, my video that just came out yesterday, I talk about that kind of stuff. Andrew, so thank you for sharing that. Nice jacket. Thank you. I need something to make me stand out from the background. Naya says, my struggle is that I know when I start doing a 2-minute task, it will turn into a 15-minute task because I see how many things I need to do. That's okay. We all have been there in these situations as well. So here I want you to be really compassionate to yourself, Naya. I want you to tell yourself it's just that one thing you're doing. That's it. That's your goal. Like if you just do that one thing today, you have made immense progress because it's so hard to do anything in this scenario. Again, the core of everything I do, it's acceptance and change. Accepting how difficult, how overwhelming, how stressful this is, and changing. And accepting that I didn't do anything to cause this, and it's my responsibility to move forward. So only focus on that one thing. I am giving you all the permission you need to just focus on that thing. And if you just do it for 2 minutes, that's fine. You can set a timer for 2 minutes and then just stop. The most important thing is making contact with that thing you want to do. Once you make contact, you're going to feel better. Motivation will go up after that. Pomodoro Samarth is what got me through grad school. If you're unfamiliar, the Pomodoro technique, setting a 20-minute timer and then getting a 5-minute free time after that. But the 20-minute timer is completely focused on just what you want to be doing, the work you want to be doing. Mick is here, another friend of the Psych Show. Mick, welcome to the live stream. What worked best for me when it comes to productivity is to do 15 minutes on and 15 minutes off. I work without distractions, no YouTube, no Spotify, nothing for 15 minutes, then clean stretch. I love it, Mick. 15 minutes on, 5 minutes off. That is wonderful. And what's important is make that a sacred time, sacred in the exact way that you're describing, Mick. That means no distractions, turn them off. If you can, turn off your Wi-Fi, put your phone away. Honestly, folks, it is the only way I got my dissertation done. I love the tips. Keep them coming. This is awesome. All right. The next thing here. So you've changed your environment. You've got like a 2-minute version of this. You have some way to help you with distractions. Your motivation will go up as you start to make progress on this. Now you got to get connected with community. Courtney earlier was talking about making a list of friends you want to contact and do one a day. I love that goal, Courtney, because it also taps into one of the best mental health skills we have, which is connecting with other people, getting help, getting support. And that's what this next skill I want to talk about is all about. So what we do impacts how we think of ourselves. And then how we think of ourselves impacts what we do. These things go around and around. So it's very hard to make YouTube videos. But if I identify as a YouTube creator, it actually makes it easier to do that stuff. And now you're hearing the lovely sounds of my daughter who is screaming at my wife. I hope it's going okay. We'll see about that later. But if you want to connect with the identity, that's really important here. So that identity might be I want to be a good friend in Courtney's case, or it might be I am a good student. I am a student. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to be doing this work. So what's the identity connected to this thing you want to do? How do you identify? So clarify that identity, because that identity will then kind of inform what you do. And you want to make a clear intention here. I will do X thing at Y time in Z location. So if you were listening closely, I just did this to myself earlier. I do this so often now that it's just kind of automatic for me when I'm trying to address behavior problems that I am experiencing myself. So earlier I said, after I cook, I will spend 2 minutes to wipe down the surfaces. I also said, after my daughter goes to sleep, I will spend 2 minutes throwing all of her toys into a big bin. Why am I doing this? Well, because I'm a dad. It is attached to my values that I talked about earlier, that I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good partner. I want this to be a safe and healthy space. So now you're seeing how all of these things come together. And my motivation is up for this because of the problems I talked about earlier. So make a clear intention. I will do X thing at Y time in Z location. And again, make it a simple 2-minute task. Then what I want you to do is that intention that you've made, I want you to share that with someone. Many of you are already doing that in the live chat right over here. I keep pointing to the side because it's on my side, but maybe it's on the bottom for you if you're in mobile. But I want you to take this intention that you have and share it with someone. That could be a friend. It could be someone you're close to. It could be someone you're sheltering in place with. But could be even better if you're sharing that with other people who share your identity. One of the most helpful things for me has been talking to other parents who are completely overwhelmed in the same way that I am, because we're working through it together. We can support each other. They're super not judgy of when I tell them how much of a mess my home is. I know it looks clean here. This is the one room my daughter is not allowed to go in because this is where my wife and I get our work done. Outside that door, it's a disaster. So get connected with a community who is already working on these things. And this is actually one of the beauties of YouTube is the hashtag with me campaign has been awesome. So if you're trying to get your home clean and organized. There's videos and channels dedicated to people who are doing that. Get connected with that community. Find a recent video and make an intention on one of those videos that I will do this thing at Y location at Z time, all of that kind of stuff. Or if there's a Reddit community that you feel connected to, or if you have friends who are already doing this, or someone on Instagram that you follow, make that intention public on that community that is already doing that thing. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is going to make a big difference here. We're such social beings, and it's very hard for us to make changes if they go against what the people around us are doing. So if you're I'm going to pick on Doritos for a moment because I love Cool Ranch Doritos. If you're trying to eat less Doritos and everyone around you is eating Doritos, you're going to eat more Doritos. Like, that is an impossible goal to have. But if you want to eat less Doritos and the people around you make an agreement, all right, let's make this easy. Let's change our environment so it's harder to eat Doritos. Let's put all the Doritos in the way top cabinet, or let's put them way in the back, or better yet, let's not buy them in the first place. If everyone is in agreement to that, then that's awesome. And if you can't get that with the people that you might be living around, is there a I want to eat less Doritos community out there? Or better yet, is there a community dedicated to eating healthy? And can you get connected with that? All right. I'm going to check in with the comments over here. Bidet friends. Okay. Well, I don't know. I missed out something there that's important about bidets, but bidets are cool, awesome. Definitely saves you toilet paper. Someone said, okay, you mentioned to think. So this is coming from Andrea or Andrea S. You mentioned to think how you would tell a loved one about our lack of motivation, but how can we actually communicate this issue with someone who is not in that beloved one's list, like a boss? So you can talk about your bandwidth. You can talk about what you have bandwidth for. And do you need more support on a project or work that you have to do? Does it feel like too much? A lot of times when we're overwhelmed, and a lot of times when we say we have low motivation, it might be because we don't know what to do. We have ambivalence. We're stressed. We don't know what path to take. So I would talk to your boss less about the emotional side of it as you would a friend, but more the practical side. So this feels like too much. I don't know if I can deliver in the time that's expected. Can I get some support on this here? Is there anyone else in the team? This feels like it might be too many hours than I can realistically do. So talk about the practical sense and get some support around that. That would be my advice around that one. Logical functions model 93 says you mentioned values, which reminds me of a field of research that a field deserves more attention, which is AI safety research. The reason I bring this up is it refers to goals, convergent instrumental goals, how they're important to agency. Just a small addition to the conversation. AI is going to be super amazing as we move forward in its ability to help us to think through these things. So thank you for that perspective. Logical functions. Beatrice says, how do you get motivated if the world seems like it is just chaos? So number one is, how can you cut down on your news? You need to be able to take care of yourself. And what I've been doing is just listening to the news, not even watching it, but I've been listening to the news in the morning and afternoon. So I really cut down on my news intake. And my wife knows this. If we start talking about the news in the evening, my evening is just shot. So number one is you got to control your news intake. And number two, focus on the things that are in your control and focus on one specific thing that you might want to change. And as we've been talking about, make it a small 2-minute version of that. Minnie says, I've been struggling with needing to change my environment, but the people I'm living with aren't up to it with everything that's happening right now. I totally get this. Totally get this. This is a big challenge here. So again, think about what is in your control. Is there one piece of your environment that you can change? Can you talk to the other people and say, hey, look, you don't have to do anything here. I want to just make this one change. I just want to work on this one thing. Are you all okay if I tackle this one corner over here and do something? And that can be maybe your workspace, or that can be your health space, or whatever that you need to do. Take care of yourself and to do the thing that that you really want to be doing. Carolyn, I am crying. That was fantastic. Not sure what are they laughter tears or tears of release? I'm not sure, but I'm glad it was fantastic. How to not leave today's tasks for tomorrow? Bella is asking. Turn it into a small 2-minute thing. What's one way that you can get contact with it? Don't worry about finishing it. I don't care if you finish your task or not today. I do care if this is something that's important to you, it's connected to your values, you're motivated, you've worked through the ambivalence as we talked about earlier. Find out how can you just make contact with this, because you'll get more motivated. The more you make contact, the more motivation is going to come. Don't feel like you need to be super motivated to start something, but turn it into a very, very small version of that task and just make contact with it. All right. The last thing I want to talk to you all about is making these things rewarding. A lot of the stuff that we might be struggling with motivation, we don't necessarily feel good about doing. I hate cleaning. I really don't like it. I like vacuuming. I should say that. There's something very satisfying to me about vacuuming. Like, I don't know. Maybe it just like you see stuff and then it's gone. And I don't know. It's like easy. I don't know. I don't know why vacuuming is so easy and soothing to me. But every other aspect of cleaning, I hate. I hate getting my hands dirty. I have a mild case of arthritis, so it actually does hurt my hands to do hand kind of cleaning stuff. I just don't like cleaning in that way. So we have to find ways to make things that are harder for us feel good, to be immediately rewarding. Again, our brains are thousands of years old, and our society is about 100 years old, and this situation is months old. So we have to find ways of really satisfying this very old programming we have for the modern challenges we're facing. So what that means is we need immediate rewards. You can get that by what I said earlier, combining something that's difficult for you with something that you love, like listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video, watching Netflix while you're doing this thing that you don't like doing. That's one way. Another way is to make the change visible. So if you're struggling with schoolwork, maybe putting something up on the wall that shows every day, like if you made contact with that, and contact just means like a minute, 2 minutes of work, like put a check next to that date. That thing to put on the wall, we call that a calendar. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but maybe you can put like a calendar on the wall. If you don't have a printer, just draw one up. And every day you make contact with it, you're just putting a check mark. Jerry Seinfeld has a similar method where he crosses out every day that he's worked on his stand-up, and his goal is to not not miss a day at all, to keep making some kind of contact with it. So make the change visible. Some people like to, when they make contact with their goal, to put like a marble in a jar or a paper clip in a jar, to put it up on the wall, something like that, to mark it on a calendar. Or you can combine it with things that really feel good for you. So put in the comments, what can you combine this thing that you don't want to do with something that you do want to do? And again, over time, your motivation will go up. All right, folks, those are the big skills. I'm going to take some time to jump into your comments over here. And while I'm doing that, I want your feedback on how this went. Did you like this live stream? I've been doing a not a consensus, the Psych Show census, where I want your feedback on what is working with the channel and what isn't working on the channel. I'm going to post a link to that because I want all of your feedback on the channel if you haven't filled it out already. But one of the pieces of feedback that I've started to get is people want both shorter content that you can watch in less than 15 minutes and longer, more in-depth content. This is my experiment to do longer, more in-depth comment. So I'd also love your feedback on if this was helpful. And if this was helpful, awesome. What do you want me to do next? I'd like to do this on a more regular basis. Give me feedback on topics that you'd like an hour deep dive into. If you didn't like this, let me know also what you didn't like about it. How can I improve? What do you want me to do differently? I'm going to share a couple more resources, and then I'm going to do open Q&A for a bit. If you haven't seen it, I just released a video yesterday about sleep and insomnia. This is my experiment at a very new format of making YouTube videos. I work with a different psychologist to try to overcome my own sleep problems. So check out that video. The two biggest issues you all told me that you're struggling with are sleep and motivation. This is my attempt to address motivation. That video that I just shared is my attempt to address sleep problems. So check that out if you haven't seen that. And one more thing I'm going to say, some of the skills I talk about here are coming from treatments for depression. And I talk about one of those treatments in depth in this video here. This is a video about behavioral activation and how we can apply this stuff to start learning from why we might have low motivation and start making small progress towards the type of change we want to have. So those are all the call to actions. I will leave that there. We're going to spend the next few minutes just doing some Q&A and just trying to address some of your comments. So if you have a big question that I haven't got to, just shoot it in the chat and I will make sure to get to that. Alrighty. Looking at the comments, trying to make sure there's no dead air on the live stream. Okay, Carolyn says, my thing is I still live at home, so I have limited ability to change my environment, but also realize it's more because I am uncomfortable asking and asserting what I need to make those changes. So, Carolyn, this is a really great point. And so much of the media's attention with coronavirus COVID-19 has been about our physical health. Well, our physical health and our mental health are equally important here. They influence each other. When you're not feeling so good, when you're not thinking so good, it also can impact your immune system. So chronic stress that we don't really deal with when we're also not that active, it can actually impair your immune system. Loneliness, we also know, has a huge impact on your immune system. So we really need to value our mental health as much as we're valuing our physical health. So that means if we're sheltering in place to try to keep ourselves safe and our communities safe, we also need to learn how do we stay mentally healthy in this space that we're sheltering in. So if that helps you, remember that these two things are equally important. And what's the worst that can happen is you ask for some change that you might need from your family or the people you're living with, your friends, and they say no. Okay, well, then you're kind of in the same spot as you are in right now. But what's the best case scenario here is they might say, oh, yeah, or they might even encourage you. So I would encourage you to try and make it a very small ask. One skill that you could use here. This comes from dialectical behavior therapy. It's a skill called Dear Man. And I'll just talk about that first part, the dear part. It's how we can be assertiveness or how we can be assertiveness. That's also not how humans talk. How we can be assertive. Describe the situation you're in. Express how it impacts you. Assert what you need and talk about how this is going to be reinforcing. So describe the situation. So I don't know if you've noticed, this is me pretending to talk to my wife. I don't know if you've noticed, sweetie, but our dishes are piling up. I get really overwhelmed. This is the E. I get really overwhelmed when I see that. Is there any way we can both agree to put our dishes in the dishwasher when we're done with them? I think this will make me a lot less cranky at night, and I'll be a lot more pleasant to hang out with. And we also will be less overwhelmed at night. So you're describing what the situation is, expressing how it impacts you, asserting what you want. And then the key is reinforcing how it's going to be good for you and the other person. So that's a skill you can try, Carolyn, if you're struggling with this. A lot of love for bullet journals here. I am way too not clear with my handwriting to make bullet journaling work, but I love that. If it helps you, I love that. Bad Ombre says, I loved your Iron Man 3 review and your take on Tony's mental health. Can you make a video review on Joker? Bad Ombre, I've been debating doing this. Do you all want a Joker review? I've been hesitant because, man, that movie didn't make me feel good. But I haven't watched it since it came out, and if in Warner Brothers, it's actually really hard to do reaction videos to Warner Brothers stuff. I tried to do one related to Suicide Squad many years ago, and all of that got pulled off YouTube the moment I posted it. So I'd have to figure out a creative way to show you the scenes I'm talking about. But if you want me to do Joker stuff, let me know in the comments. It's something I have been thinking about. If I do it, I'd also want to pull in my friend, Dr. Andrea Lettamenti. She has a podcast called the Arkham Sessions where she psychoanalyzes Batman characters. She wrote a beautiful review of Joker, so I'd want to pull Drea into this process. So I might do that. So thank you for that comment. Let me know if you all want to see this. Miles says this was a great live stream. Awesome. I love getting that feedback. The reason I wanted to do this live is it's something that works best if we're talking with each other. So really happy to see you all here. Tanvir says, loved the live. It was very helpful. Awesome. That makes me so happy to hear that. Tanvir also says, can the next topic please be why suicidal thoughts occur and how to snap out of them? Oh man. That's something I would want to spend like hours and hours talking about. So the challenge for me is, how do we do something that is going to be helpful in an hour? So I'm gonna think about that one. Carolyn says, I really enjoyed this a lot. Thank you for doing this. Would definitely participate in future ones. Awesome feedback. Munya says similar. I love being I love a video. Oh no, I love being a video. I love a video. I'm going to try to read. I'm trying. I love a video on being able to be more compassionate with yourself during a time like this. Oh, wow. That could be really interesting too. Is this going to be saved? Yes, I'm going to publish this once this is done on some. You'll be able to watch the replay and share it with people. And please, if you think this video will be helpful for anyone, please share it with them. That'll also help me to grow the channel and to help more people. Elizabeth says this was very motivating to watch. Definitely an eye-opener on what to do when motivation is low. Thanks and be safe. Thanks for being here, Elizabeth. Thanks for being a part of the community. And thanks for the wonderful feedback here. Andrea says this is wonderful. Thank you. In addition to your wisdom and hearing about you and hearing you say out loud the things I've been feeling, it's nice to hear from others and feel less alone and crazy. Absolutely. It gets said a lot, but we are in this together. And so often we don't get to see each other and talk about these things. And that's why I thought the live stream would be a great way for all of us to come together and talk about this stuff together. So thank you for that feedback. Um, uh, do, 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 do. Yes to the Joker review. Joker review. Do it. Yes, please, Joker review. So Marth, I love the podcast. So we have an Arkham Sessions fan here. Yeah, if you at all are into a deep dive into the psychology of fictional characters we love, please check out Drea Ledamenti's work. She is wonderful. She's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and I'm a big fan of her work. Courtney, this was awesome. Really feels like a conversation. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I miss you. I used to work with Courtney. We used to see each other every single day of our lives, and I haven't seen her in a long time. So I really miss you, Courtney. Hope your family are doing well. I can't wait to see you again sometime in the future. Carolyn says for Suicidal Thoughts idea, maybe tackle it as a series. That's a really cool idea. Let me think about that some more, about how to do it right. I really like the live stream, says Night Angel IDK, and I love life support live stream, even though it's slow to start. Yeah, so on Saturdays, I do this live stream with my friend, Larry Nemechek, that's much more focused on Star Trek and mental health. If you're into Star Trek and mental health, it's great for you. If you're not into Star Trek, you might get a little bit bored, but that's okay. You don't have to tune in for every live stream. Night Angel, I've seen you over there. It's good to see you there. It's good to see you here. In the near future, Cesar says, in the near future, are you planning on collaborating for an app? I can't wait. I have been working with a team. It's not my app, but I am working on a team. We're developing something. It's going to be a mental health product that is going to be available to everyone for free. I'm super excited about it. If you all have been following my work for a while, you know one of my greatest frustrations with mental health is how hard it is to access. That's why I do these live streams. That's why I make these videos. That's why I'm working with this group, is I want to make things that are much more scalable, that a lot of people can access for free or for very little cost. So I am working on something. When it's out, you will hear about it. And I think you're going to like it. But it's not ready yet. But we're working on it. In the near future, you'll see it. Bella says, can the next video be about your educational journey? Oh, that would be helpful for people who want to study psychology. Bella, would you want that as a live or a pre-recorded? I've wanted to do that, like from undergrad all the way to becoming a licensed psychologist. I've wanted to do that video for a while. Let me know if you want that as a live or a pre-recorded one, because I've wanted to do that for a long time. Munya says, I really love the lives for the same reason. Everyone's been connecting and talking, very reassuring. Willie says, starting college courses again this summer online. I have a long road ahead of me, but there's nothing else my heart wants to do than to become a therapist. I was an anxiety-ridden, depressed alcoholic. Willie, I can't wait to have you in this field. We need so many more people who are passionate and want to help others, and have grown in their own journey and want to share that with other people. So welcome to this journey. I know it's a long road, but it's going to be a fulfilling road. One thing I never struggled with in being in mental health is feeling like my work is not meaningful. It always feels meaningful 100% of the time. Andrew, thanks for being here. Stay safe. Andrew says, I remember when you were still working on your doctorate. That feels like yesterday, and it also feels like a lifetime ago. Carolyn is heading out. Stay safe. Be well. All right. I should probably head out too. So I want to thank you all for being here. Check out my video on sleep if you want to learn more about some of the big skills we all need right now. Steven says, you've been so inspiring for me. I want to make a channel like yours, but for music therapy. Awesome. Yes, I would love that. Thank you for inspiring me, for being here and giving me encouragement and excitement and motivation to keep going. You all help me so much. You have no idea. And when you share comments like that, it just lifts me up and helps me to keep moving. Eric is here. Eric, good to see you. Dopamine detox. That is a big topic that we could talk about in the future, but probably not as I'm wrapping up a live stream. But I am so glad you are here. All right, folks. Thanks so much for being a part of this live stream. I will be back for another live stream next Friday at this exact same time. Not sure yet what that's going to be, but come in and tune in for that. And if this video helped you in any way at all, please share it with someone else who might get something out of it. And if you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the Psych Show. I'll see you all next time.